So what are the barriers to entry within the food truck industry? Well, here on Food Truck Freaks, this video, I'm actually going to give you 8 specific things that you may run into that could be quite of a hurdle to get over. But if you understand these things before you launch your food truck business, they're going to be very invaluable and help you basically get up and running much, much quicker. But they are barrier to entries in the food truck industry. So let's dive right into it. So welcome to Food Truck Freaks. My name is Damian Roberti. I am a food entrepreneur and have been in the food industry for over 30 plus years. My wife and I, Sylvia, operate our food business, our food e-commerce business actually online. We've been doing this for about 14 years on our own, and then we had an Italian bakery and we did catering, and we've had a lot of food industry businesses. So I wanted to really give you 8 specific things that you might run into about your food truck business. Now, I'm going to go from number 8 down to number 1 because number 1 is probably the most challenging to understand, and it's actually a lot of the questions we get here on our YouTube channel or in regards to that one. So let's dive right into it. Number 8, access to financing. Yes, so new business owners have a tendency to find it difficult actually to secure financing for food trucks. Banks and investors may be a little hesitant to fund mobile food businesses due to the perceived risks, leading entrepreneurs to rely on their personal savings or high interest loans. So a little tips and a little pointer would be, before you dive into it, look at trying to get a truck that's already used. One that's actually used that may be a lot less for you to invest initially in a new one, because you don't necessarily need a spanking brand new food truck with all the bells and whistles. You can actually find one that's used, maybe even lightly used, but you could get one at a lot less than you initially wanted to invest in. And I would recommend you do that. Secondly, don't take out loans until the business is up and running. I've actually experienced, through my own experience, I did that when we first actually went into our business, our food business, taking loans out before we actually kind of have proof of concept, as it's known in the food industry. You got to have a good idea that it's going to sell or it's going to make money. So getting a loan later will make sense, but launching it may not, because if it doesn't work out, guess what? You still are liable for that loan, even though the business is not in making money anymore and it's closed up. So launch your food truck on a minimal budget. Find what is the best truck you can. Not necessarily cutting corners, but really kind of stretch your money if you've only got a limited budget. Don't let it keep you back from actually starting your food truck business if you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars up front, because you don't need that, okay? Do a little research, do a little digging in and finding out where you can get a great used truck, and then something that you could basically retrofit or use what's in there until you get the wheels moving, no pun intended, but you get the business up and running, and then you can help either change it, retrofit it, customize it, or spend more money, okay? Number 7. One of the biggest barriers to entry for the food truck industry is this: seasonality. Yes, food trucks rely heavily, of course, on weather. Believe it or not, of course. Now, unless you're catering an event, or if you're doing catering and you're bringing food to a facility or to a place but you're using your food truck to do that, obviously you're not serving food outside. But everything else that you're doing has a tendency, obviously, to be bearing on the weather. So seasonality, depending on the location, food trucks can be highly seasonally business. Okay, with revenue significantly dropping during colder months, this seasonality can make cash flow management a little more challenging and make it difficult for you to be prosperous and profitable. Now, with that being said, food trucks have a multitude of different ways to make money. Okay, I've actually seen food truck owners who take their truck and they teach food cooking lessons. Like during the cold winter times and such, they'll go to a facility, they'll go to a party, like a custom party, they'll bring some food and they'll show people how to cook by using the food truck. They can do cooking classes. They can also do, like I said, catering. That means that you don't necessarily have to be outside to serve the food. Use it as a catering mobile. There's a lot of people who obviously during the fall and winter when it's cooler out, they do these types of events, okay? So that doesn't mean you have to be parked outside relying on the weather. So think outside the box and get creative so you can make money seasonally and all year round, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? Next up, number 6, insurance costs. Yes, food trucks require several types actually of insurances, including vehicle insurance. You've got, of course, your liability insurance and of course, workers' compensation if you've got employees. These costs can actually add up and they can impact the profitability of your business. But with that being said, you can normally launch a food truck with maybe yourself and one other person. I've actually seen the one-man show. Okay, you have a very small menu, but at least you get up and running and then you have employees. A lot of these expenses can be kind of curbed to the side, if you will, when you initially launch. Number 5, operational challenges. Now, this actually goes for any food business, even food trucks. But of course, running a food truck involves managing a compact space, dealing with the unpredictability, of course, of working on the road, such as maintenance issues for the vehicle, weather conditions, and fluctuating foot traffic. So the day-to-day operational challenges are one of the things that are barrier entry when you start a food truck. But don't let it stop you, because you may be in a great spot, and none of these may actually affect you, okay? Number 4, market saturation. Now, of course, a lot of areas that are actually touristy areas on the coastline and such, and in some bigger cities. In some areas, the food truck market actually is highly saturated, okay? So making it a little bit more difficult for new trucks to stand out and attract consistent customer bases. Competition can be fierce, and newcomers must, of course, find like unique places. You've got to differentiate yourself from other type of food trucks based on your menu. So market saturation is one that could be really a bit of a challenge. Number 3, location and parking restrictions. This is something that a lot of questions we get on Food Truck Freaks is in regards to, hey, I didn't realize, do I have to pay for the parking or can I just park anywhere I want? Finding that actual suitable location to operate can be a bit challenging due to the zoning laws, okay? And parking restrictions, competition for prime spots. Some areas restrict food trucks actually from parking in certain locations at all, limiting access to potential customers. So you need to really dive into your city or county's rules in regards to the location and parking permits. Number 2, startup costs. Yeah, despite being, of course, a little bit more affordable, obviously, than opening a traditional restaurant, starting a food truck actually still requires a bit of investment on your part. So costs including the truck itself, as we discussed earlier, kitchen equipment, initial inventory, possibly even modifications and expenses due to local regulations, and retrofitting the truck, all of that can add up, okay? But like I said, find something that you can get up and running, and then later you can tweak it, play with it, kind of change it, and grow it. But like with any food business, especially mine, when I started, I simply said, you know what? I was actually let go from my job, and I'm like, you know what? I know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I just knew that I could do it, period. I knew that I could do it, but I didn't know all of the answers to the questions, but I just started. So get your food truck up and running, get your food business running, and you can play with it later. You can change it later. You can always evolve, okay? All right, last but not least, number 1, this is one that, of course, everybody talks about and asks questions constantly because this is a bit complex and a little confusing. Regulatory requirements and licensing. Okay, so obtaining the necessary permits and licenses can be a bit, of course, complex, and it's kind of a time-consuming process. I know. Different cities, of course, and regions have their own set of rules regarding food safety, parking, operations. So what can be a significant hurdle when you start a new food truck? That's it. Regulatory, the laws, the requirements for licensing and permits. But here on Food Truck Freaks, I have been diving into all of this, and if you subscribe to this channel, definitely stay tuned because I'm going to do state-specific permits and licenses to help you understand this, okay? You can kind of navigate it better. So if that kind of helped you understand what the barriers to entry are for a food truck business, please do give us a big thumbs up. Let us know down below if you've got any comments or questions. And of course, we will get back to them as soon as possible. Keep an eye open the next couple of weeks. We've got some great videos specifically, by the way, on licensing and permitting, and those will actually help you understand it much better. Also, check out these videos here. These are some additional resources to help you get up and running, and I'll see you in our next video.